You and I, friends, are entering the year 2026. Today, January 7th, 2026. Christmas. Christmas is marching across Russia. People are probably drinking and partying. I don't know, friends. I didn't celebrate this holiday. I already mentioned in the previous video that the only time I probably did celebrate it was when Zurabov was sitting with his company, and my son and I were there too. At the Palace Hotel, and that's where we celebrated. But after our celebration, there were no more bookings for the holiday after us. And they stopped doing it on January 6th. Stopped organizing Christmas for Russians. That's how it was. Later, I think a year later, I wanted to reserve a table, but that table was already, let's say, inside somewhere among all the other tables. It just wasn't interesting anymore. So that's how our holiday faded away. Russian Christmas at the palace in Ekstad came to an end. Well, that's how cheerfully we used to celebrate back then. Then all that fun disappeared and Russians became poorer. Well, that's how it is, friends. All of this, of course, is interesting, or maybe not that interesting after all. Here's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I watch Russian movies. People send me Russian movies, links to Russian films. I watch some of these movies. First of all, I'm struck by the lack of any real idea, the lack of intelligence. That's the first thing. Second, I'm struck by the endless violence. If no one gets killed, it's not considered a movie. So what? Are Russians being trained to like meat? Raw living meat? And third, hysteria. All the women are hysterical. The men are shouting too. If it's a boss, he yells like crazy. I agree with you, friends, that this is probably how it really is. That this is how it actually is. They all really do shout like that. But what kind of people are these? People who don't know how to live peacefully. Not just live, but they can't even talk to each other calmly. Some kind of complaints, like horses, pouring at each other with their hooves. Back and forth, back and forth. That's how they talk. So people are being trained to talk in this manner. I wanted to remind you about this, that you are watching Russian classics, Russian culture, Russian films, which are shown one after another, the cheapest, the emptiest, the most plebeian films, And you start to learn that this is exactly how you should speak. Well, they said it in the film, the hero is positive, positive. How does he speak? That's how he speaks, right? And it's on these films that women are raised, men are raised. They start shouting at each other. This is the norm of life. Well, how can you ever expect to come to a reasonable agreement when you are constantly shouting like this? You think I didn't go through this phase? I'm from the Soviet Union too. I saw the same shouting. Even if I created an environment around me where no one shouted, inside there was still an atmosphere where someone could yell at me. I mean, in my family. Well, not the family I created, but the family my parents created, right? And it was the same there too. Although, in general, my mom and dad were calm people. But this constant goading, this upbringing in the style of a paranoid, in the style of a psychopath, that's how our society raises people. I only recently started telling you about mothers, about sons who are then raised by a single mother. And what comes of that? I relate this to myself as well. I also have sons in the same situation. But I was married. But still, sons learn from us, from you and me, how they should behave. It's not just that they learn as if it's a lesson. They absorb it. And if a mother allows herself to yell at her son, then the son shrinks and becomes worthless, empty. He lets everything out of himself, everything, out of fear. Friends, I mean this for everyone. Not just for myself, not just for one woman who wrote to me about this. There was a mother who consulted with me, whose son is like that. And she asked me for advice. And of course, I sincerely tried to analyze and explain how things should be done. Of course, her son is already grown up. He's an adult now. It's hard to change him now. But despite that, it can still be done. How? Stop yelling. If a mother raises her voice in anger, that is deeply distressing and harmful, my friends. You unintentionally terrify your young sons. You scare every living thing in your immediate surroundings, whether it actually exists or not. You simply frighten. And that's not a man. He will never become a man. The woman who reached out to me, I corresponded with her a lot, gave her some advice because, after all, I am a doctor of psychology. I give some advice, but I see that it helps little. It helps her very little. Of course, she tries to do something. As a mother, she has patience with her son. But her son didn't listen to her, not to a single piece of advice I gave her. This is about time. 2 years before the current mobilization. For 2 years, I gave her advice on what needed to be done. And what did he do? He did everything in the exact opposite direction. He didn't follow a single piece of advice. And then he landed on his ass on the ice. And now he doesn't know what to do. You see what the situation is? And we can't do anything. We really can't do anything. That's how the whole nation is raised. A psychopathic mother and a son who is suppressed, trampled underfoot. This is our reality. Our reality one you want to escape from. I'm not saying that all of you are to blame. No. And this mother, she's a weak woman. She works, right? They live in a central city. She works alone, raises her son alone. Apparently, the son didn't want to study. I don't ask her whether he studied or not. I know that he, whether he works or not, is looking for some short-term job somewhere. This is her son. I will talk about these topics no matter who likes it. Because some people recognize themselves, some don't like it. Friends, well, in every such question, you can recognize yourself in every question. And I see problems. Human. I see the mother's problems. I see the son's problems. And that the son depends on his mother, that's for sure. So if the mother has a problem, the son will be a nobody. His mother will crush him. She will drag him through the mud, specifically in her conversations, in her shouting. That's why I teach my acquaintance. I say, just don't shout. Don't shout. She says, yes, he's already turning away, leaving. Is he doing the right thing? Because if he doesn't gain his own masculine dignity, and if he keeps hearing his mother's hysterical screams, he'll always remain a nobody. And he'll never have a good family. That's the most important thing. I feel sorry for guys like that. Because they were raised by a single mother. Not a smart mother, I should say. And after that, he has no future. Unless his mother grabs him, let's say, by the horns and drags him along with her. Only by her own example. And so the mother started learning English. Good for her. She's learning English. Good luck to you.